So hello everyone and welcome to today's session. My name is Alonso from GoSurrogacy.com and today we'll be looking at how you can start your family through surrogacy. So I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Olga Diaz. Olga is an expert with years of experience helping build families through surrogacy in California. She's the founder and director of GRACE Llc, a company she started in order to help intended parents build families. She brings her vast agency experience to provide intended parents with all the support they need when beginning the surrogacy process in the USA, and in particular in California. Olga trained as a lawyer and specializes in giving clear legal advice during the journey.
So, well, thank you so much for introducing me, Alonso. That is correct. I started with the legal department. That means I did egg donation contracts, surrogacy contracts, and I did also the parentage order. That's how I started 9 years ago. I coordinate more than 300 cycles. And I opened my own agency because I believe certain things have to be done properly. And I'm running my agency 2.5 years ago. So let's get started with the presentation. Absolutely. I know we have some aspects of the surrogacy. We're gonna do a glance in the whole aspect. Okay, so there is aspect of surrogacy. There is the agency and budgeting. There is building your team. There is pre-pregnancy, during pregnancy, and post-birth, okay? So we're gonna talk right now the aspect of surrogacy. There is 3 different aspects. There is the emotional, the financial, and also the time frame. And that will be our next, yes, correct. So in the emotional, there is different parts of the emotional. One, before you start your journey, you have find out that this is the way, then only the way you have to go through parenthood. Each person is different, the path, but at the end, the conclusion is surrogacy is the way to go. The next one will be during the process. It is very emotional. Get your egg donor if you need an egg donor. Also, meeting your surrogate. So all that is also emotional. Also, post-birth, once you have your baby, there is an emotional aspect of it, saying goodbye to the surrogate. So all those are emotional portion of surrogacy, which will prepare you for each one of them. The other is the financial aspect. There is a lot of people that work in your surrogacy cycle during the period of 14 months minimum. And financially, you need to make payments to different entities, like the IVF doctor, the agency, the surrogate, the egg donor, the attorney, the insurance, and all that is collapsed in your budget. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how you're budgeting your cycle. The third aspect of surrogacy is the time frame. Everybody wants to know how long it will take to do a surrogacy cycle. The minimum it takes is 14 months. And that's why, because 9 months, your surrogate will be pregnant, and prior to that will be the egg donor cycle. If you need an egg donor, your surrogate screening, the legal contracts, and the start the process of IVF with the hormone treatment and also the transfer. So all that is a minimum of 14 months, maximum can be 24 months. One of the things that I want people to understand, the ones that have the embryos created abroad, sometimes they have it in Czech Republic, Ukraine, Spain, those embryos cannot be transported to the United States because of FDA regulations and being foreign genetics. So that has, those embryos unfortunately cannot be used. So once you contact the agency, you can contact the agency via telephone, you can contact the agency via Skype or meet in person. Your agency is gonna ask you certain type of questions. You know, a lot of questions, but most of the important questions is your country of residence, because we want to know at the end of your journey the legislation that is going to apply to the baby. So we want to make sure that you get matched with the right surrogate in the right state in United States, okay? Also, they're going to ask you why you choose surrogacy as your journey to parenthood. Very important. The surrogates always going to ask why they are proceeding to surrogacy versus adoption versus having their own kid on themselves. So that's a question that they will ask you. The other one is, how many children do you want to conceive in your first surrogacy? Meaning, if you guys want to conceive 2 twins, that's something that the agency needs to know, because not too many women or surrogates want to carry twins, as there is a risk on their life, and they obviously is more uncomfortable for them to carry twins. So all these questions is something that the agency should ask you. The other one, very important, if you have any medical condition prior to start your journey, if you're going to be the sperm donor or the egg donor. Medical conditions can be such as HIV or any STDs, sexual transmitted disease, that they need to know, the clinic. And also if you know your own origin, that means that if you've been adopted yourself, it's very hard to know the genetics or not. So that's something that they need to ask, so they transfer that information to the IVF clinic, the agency. And the third one, the last one that the agency is going to work on is your budget. Some of the agencies will give you global cost upfront and will not break the global cost for you, just give you a specific price. And if you have the budget, okay. But there are other agencies that work step by step. Some of the agencies ask the full money upfront for the full funds upfront. Other agencies spread out the payments, meaning that you can pay the cycle in 5 or 6 payments, okay? They're gonna explain to you, the payments need to be direct to the clinic. Some of them, there is payment for medication, things like that. And you should have a very well knowledge before I start anything to know what your budget is. If you don't know how much it's gonna cost you, I prefer for you not to start your journey, okay? Because that could affect your emotional aspect of the journey.
Question that I mean everyone has when they're thinking about maybe doing surrogacy,
yes,
is what is it going to cost me?
Yes, they always have that question, and it depends. Sometimes, it depends on the states that they do surrogacy as well. Some states have different price because the medical insurance will be less or more. So that's one of the things. The legal costs will be different too, because some of the attorneys in certain states charge a little bit more than others. So that's why all the questions that the agency is going to ask him, or as the intended parents, are going to solve the budgeting, okay? So for example, for a singleton here in California, I always give a budget of a minimum $145,000, but that is the maximum that they're going to expend on a singleton. My clients, when I give a budget of 145, usually spend 123, 135. So it's $10,000 or more in savings, okay? But I always want to give them the maximum on the minimum budget, okay? So building your team, very important. The first component of your team is the IVF clinic. And why is the IVF clinic in the United States important? Because different clinic has different protocols. So as an agency, we need to know the protocol of the clinic before we match you with an egg donor and a surrogate, okay? That means that each clinic can get medical clearance. Most of the clinics get medical clearance in 2 weeks. Other clinics get medical clearance in 3 months. So that will affect your time frame, okay? So that important, the first most of the people want to get the surrogate first. No, is the IVF clinic first, okay? The second will be the egg donor. And why not the surrogate? Because egg donors, the cycle is only 3 months, okay? They are young girls, then sometimes they change their mind to be an egg donor. So we want to make sure that we have the egg donor on board so we can match you with a surrogate, okay? Once the egg donors say yes and have passed medical screening and moving to the legal, we can start matching you with a surrogate. But that depends on the agency. Some of the agency has a lack of egg donors and more surrogates. So they probably will match you first with the surrogate and after they reach out to find your egg donor. So it depends, you know, on the agency. But my agency, the way I feel that is comfortable for everyone without waiting that much is the IVF clinic, the egg donor, and the last, the surrogate, okay? And of course, we start with the IVF payment. So once you have your 2 candidates, we proceed to the IVF payment. You pay the IVF clinic, so for them to call your candidates for a screening, okay?
Cool.
Okay, very important, and in this point and in this, it's very important, the recruitment of your egg donor and your surrogate. Very important. We do a personalized screening. That means we do home assessments in the surrogates. We meet our egg donors in person, and we express how important is what they're going to enter into. Some of the people change their mind, but most of the candidates continue, so you know they're gonna go through the cycle. Okay, so very important.
So what you're saying, Olga, is that you personally have a stake in screening the surrogates who
Yes, I'm the
yes,
I'm the person who recruit the surrogates. I go to their home, see the environment, see if the people that live with her, that means her husband or her mother, anybody who lives in her house are aware of what she's doing. I make sure that her house is clean. I make sure that I don't smell cigarettes. I smell that I see that she presents very well, and that she has a knowledge of what she's gonna go through. So it takes about the home assessment, it takes me about 1 hour to 2 hours in the surrogate's home. And they understand the importance why the home assessment, because I'm gonna be the eyes of their intended parents here in the United States. So pre-pregnancy, what happened pre-pregnancy? Okay, so one is the screening from the donor. For example, if we're talking about a sperm donor, they have to come to the United States, okay? And they have to do the screening as the FDA regulates foreign genetics, okay? The same as the egg donor, if it's gonna be the intended mother, she has to come, do the process and everything of egg donation. There are some exceptions to the screening for the foreign genetic. Obviously, the people that can't donate themselves, they have to go to a double donation. What is a double donation? That means that they have to have an egg donor and they have to have a sperm donor. So obviously, when you have donors in both sides, you don't have to come and screen, okay? Now, the next one.
What you're saying is that in a situation where you have a double donation, you have a person donating sperm and a person donating eggs.
Yes.
So the intended parent isn't really
necessary to come. Exactly. So intended parent is not biological. The child needs to, you guys need to be careful in what state you can do. California is open to everything. So that's why in California, so many people come to do surrogacy here, because you can do a double donation and your names still go straight in the birth certificate. Okay. Obviously, no problem. The sperm donor is bought through a bank of a sperm donation. And obviously, these gentlemen are going through screenings than a normal person will go, okay? Then next is the screenings of your egg donor and your surrogate, or only your surrogate. It depends on your cycle, you know. So once you get matched with the surrogate, the match is sent to the IVF clinic. The IVF clinic called the candidate or candidates for a screening, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks or 3 months to get clear the surrogate and the egg donor. Most common, I have to say, is 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, so that's the farthest. Now, after they get medical clearance, they move to the legal aspect. So once the clinic has saying, congratulations, your surrogate or your egg donor passed medical clearance, please start in your legal process. When they say that, is then your case go to an attorney to start drafting the contracts. The first thing you're going to receive from the attorney is a retainer. So that means that as soon as she gets the case, she sends you a retainer for you to sign. Then you are aware that you enter willingly to this contract, and you going to hire an attorney to draft and represent you in the contract. There will be, in each contract, there will be a conference call where the attorney spend about an hour with you explaining what the contract says. Okay. After the legal contract, the attorney send a legal clearance to the clinic, saying the parties agree that they enter into an egg donation contract. The egg donation can be known or anonymous, and she will express it in the legal clearance. Now, with the surrogate as well, they say the parties enter willingly to a contract, and they specify how many embryos they're going to transfer, 1 or 2. Okay?
Right.
Perfect. So after the clinic had received the legal clearance from the attorney, they're going to prepare the calendar, okay, the cycle calendar. That cycle calendar will tell us when the egg donor gonna start her hormone treatment and when she's gonna get retrieved. Between she start medication of the hormone treatment to the time she get retrieved, she's gonna have at least 5 appointments to monitor that process, okay? Because the clinic do not want to overstimulate an egg donor. Now, with the surrogate, the same thing. They release the calendar with when she's gonna stop the birth control pill, when she's gonna start the Lupron or progesterone, which is one of the hormones that they take, and when she's gonna start monitoring, and when is the estimated embryo transfer. Remember, you have the right to have all those dates, okay? Because that's something. Then a document sent, the clinic sent us this document to the agency. So you have the right to have it as well, okay? Once you have the calendar, you can see the dates for the retrieval and transfer. Some of the clinics like to do fresh transfers. Some of the clinics prefer to do a frozen transfer. Please remember, if you're gonna PDG the embryos, meaning if you're gonna test the embryos for chromosome 21, the transfer has to be frozen. So during the pregnancy, what is going to happen is, once your surrogate get to the transfer date, your embryo can be 3 days blastocyst or 5 days blastocyst. That means that it's already open, the embryo, to transfer. If she get transferred at 3-day blastocyst, at the moment of transfer, your surrogate will be 1 week, a little bit over 1 week pregnant, okay? If they transfer the embryo at 5 days blastocyst, your surrogate will be 2 weeks pregnant. So from the moment your surrogate gets transferred to the heartbeat confirmation is 4 weeks, okay? Under that, a month. So you can count, okay, if my surrogate get transferred this date, so I expect the heartbeat confirmation in 4 weeks, okay? After they have the heartbeat confirmation, that means it's a positive pregnancy by ultrasound, because right before that she has a confirmed of pregnancy via blood. So, but the heartbeat is the real confirmation of pregnancy. Now, when that happens, after those 4 weeks, she's gonna be 6 more weeks in medication. So the total of weeks for medication for hormone treatment is between 10 to 12 weeks. All depends in the surrogate's body. Some of the surrogates I have seen only 6 weeks, but most of them go to 10 to 12 weeks, okay? And that's what they call IVF graduation. There is an email at the 11th week, 12th week of pregnancy. Then they say, congratulations, your surrogate is officially pregnant and she will move to the care of the obstetrician. So we move from the IVF to a normal doctor, okay? Very important to attend, and we do, as an agency, we do attend the first appointment with the obstetrician, because the first appointment, they're gonna ask the surrogate a lot of questions about the embryo she's carrying. And if nobody is representing you, she don't know, your surrogate doesn't have the right, or doesn't have, and nobody's gonna give her that information about the embryo. So we have all the documents and we can provide the obstetrician so it gets better idea. So one of the things, for example, if your embryo has been PDG, that means testing for chromosome 21, what we do, we provide with a report from the IVF clinic, so your surrogate do not have to do extra lab work or ultrasounds, which is cost, okay? Now, the 20-week ultrasound by the state is a state law in most of the states, but by the 20-week, they do the measurement on the fetus. So they spend, instead of 10 minutes doing an ultrasound, they spend anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes to an hour, if it's twins, in check all the measurements of the baby. Okay, very important. When it gets close to the 28 week, 32 weeks, we start planning the trip for the delivery. So if you want to come, you know, we make arrangements for the lodging, the rental car, and everything you need to come here, okay? And at the delivery, you know, it's one of the things that we will be, you know, at the delivery at the hospital, making sure that the administrative portion of it is done properly, making sure that the financial department know what questions and where to direct, as you are in a state of emotion, back again to the aspect of emotional. So we try to make sure that we're there for you. And as we have already relationship with these hospitals understands that, you know, we register the patient, which is the surrogate, and the parents as well. There is a lot of paperwork that needs to be done prior to delivery. We do it for you, and at the delivery, we're making sure everybody is aware of that it's a surrogacy and administrated goes well. Okay. After the pregnancy, you know, is kind of the post-birth documentation. So there is certain things that you will need to go back to your country, okay? The first thing that we're gonna obtain is the birth certificate, okay? That the first portion of the birth certificate is done by the hospital. They start the process and it goes to Vital Records office, and depends on the county, go different places, okay? There is in the birth certificate worksheet that you work at the hospital, that you complete at the hospital. There is information from you and there is information for the surrogate. But don't worry, because in the real birth certificate is only your information, the ones who appear on the birth certificate. The only thing is that there is a confidential part of it, which the surrogate's information will appear, but that stays in Vital Records Office. Okay, so when you receive your birth certificate, is the name of one or two parents. And right now, the state of California no longer call mother and father, it calls parent one and parent two, or parent. So is no distinguish between mother and father. So the next one will be to apostille or authentication of the paperwork. So it depends who signed the birth certificate. We need to obtain authentication before the apostille or go straight to apostille the documents. Apostille is very important for those countries that are in the Hague Convention. So we make sure that those that there are Spain, Germany, France, all those countries have the apostille. Okay, we go in person to do the apostille, which it takes a few hours, but it can be done the same day. Okay. Now, the passport is the next step is the passport. There are expedite services. There are also services that you can obtain in one day. Passport, but it's more like a lottery, it's a few passports on site and first come, first serve, or, it depends on the emergency. They will give you a same day passport, but there are also expedite services that take up to 3 days to obtain a passport. Okay. We can do that in person with you, no problem. We go all these documents, we come with you to do it. The next step after we have all that is the Social Security card. So the Social Security, if the hospital, when they give you the worksheet for the birth certificate, you mark that you want the Social Security to be sent to the specific address that you put, then you're going to reside. Okay, or we can take you to the Social Security office directly and get that done. At this point, I used to be that the Social Security only arrives to U.S. addresses. Now we have clients that have provided their own address in France and Spain and goes directly to them. Okay. This Social Security card, very important for the rest of the baby's life. And it takes about 2 weeks after the registration in the office up to 3 months. Okay. The other one is for those that needs to register the baby or the process of registration to obtain the nationality. For those that need to go to the consulate, we go with you guys. For example, Spain, all the process needs to start here. So the closest, if we are in San Diego, we are located in San Diego, we go to Los Angeles to do the process, okay? With you. All the paperwork that you guys need to turn in and all the copies, everything, it will be done.
I often hear people saying that, where should they pick their agency? Is location very important?
Well, for the agency, no, but you have to be careful because, for example, my agency is located in San Diego and I have a satellite office in Las Vegas. I work with surrogates from Southern California, Los Angeles, and San Diego, and I work with surrogates in Las Vegas because I do want that personalized service for the surrogates as well. When the agency, let's say, is in New York or Boston, and they work with a surrogate in California, they don't really have that connection with the surrogate. They're not going to attend to appointments. So yes, it is important, but it's not essential, okay?
Excellent, Olga. So thank you very much for taking us through this overview of how one can start their family through surrogacy.
Yes.
I'm going to bring your contact details up on the screen, and we are going to put a link. We're going to put a link for your website. So if anyone does want to get in touch with you, or if anyone does have more questions for you, would you be happy for people to email you?
Definitely, they can email me. We can do a Skype conference call. It takes about an hour, the Skype conference call, but it's free. So that I always want, my whole purpose to do this is that people are informed before they take a step in surrogacy.